Hi, friends. This is a little chat on retiring early. And when I mention retiring early, um, I'm not thinking of before 35 or 40. I'm thinking more like in the 50 and over range, but not having to wait till you're 65 or 60. Maybe 55, maybe 50. But that was in my case, and I'm going to tell you what I did and what I could have done better. Um, when I was in college, I was buying a new Thunderbird every year. The main focus was my social life, you see. And every time I would go to Barley Ford on Dixie Highway in Louisville, my salesman gladly would say, just trade it in, and on on what you owe, we'll put it on the new loan. Okay? The next year, new model would come out, trade in the old one. Whatever I still owed, he just put it on the new loan. I didn't even ask what the interest was. Well, I got to the point where I had to turn it in. Gonna turn that in and start over. So I get a old I get when I say turn it in, it wasn't under a very uh, it, it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was what I had to do. Some people call it repossession. So uh, I got from the same place an old Escort with over 100,000 miles on it. It did quite well except for the oil. When a Ford Escort hits 100,000, it seems like oil will start leaking out and fall on the engine and then catch on fire. I had two of them, maybe three Escorts, because I was able to buy them for less than $1,000. Starting over, I got a cheap apartment, and I'm going to tell you step by step how I did this. I don't work today. I'm retired. So what I'm telling you is what I went through. I took the change from the day. I would do whatever jobs I could. Um, I was in college. I substitute taught. Substitute teaching's a real winner, by the way, if you want to give it a try. You might have a Coke bottles thrown at you or metal rods thrown at you if you're teaching math. There'll be students in there that do not like math, and they may throw whatever's handy, even metal bars at you while you're at the chalkboard. Real treat. I would take what money I had for pocket change. I paid my bills, of course. Pocket change. I walked from my cheap apartment across the street to a savings and loan company. And at the time, I had moved from Louisville to Jeffersonville, Indiana. And I was on Allison Lane, an apartment complex there. So here I am every day walking over to the savings and loan. Didn't matter if I have 95 cents, 45 cents, over $1. I'm starting over. By the way, that's how I started saving when I was very, very young, too. My dad took me to a savings and loan, and when I got change, I would go and put it in the savings and loan. That was in Valley Station, Kentucky. Okay, so the habit was formed. Is why I mentioned that. Um, Now, it doesn't seem like that would amount to being able to retire early, does it? But I'm going to speed this up so that you get the whole picture here. I was out of shape, so I told myself if I walked for 10 minutes, I think I could do it every day, at least 5. So I was in my 30s, so I was still in good shape, enough to be able to walk an hour even. It got to the point where I liked walking so much that I would walk a whole hour even if it was raining, because what it did to me psychically. Here's what happened. The first 20 minutes, there was a rush of problems coming through my mind. Just a rush of problems. What I went through, what I lost, will I gain it back? The number one thing I told myself was by Christmas time, if not this Christmas, the next Christmas, I'm going to have $500 in that savings account across the street. I believed, I remember it like it was yesterday. Every day, I told myself, I'm going to save enough to have $500 either this Christmas season or the next Christmas season. My escort many times had to be fixed in the driveway of the apartment complex by a friend of mine that later became a great mechanic. He would come over, bring his tools, get it working again, get the oil from spilling out onto the engine. I had to call the fire department once. I was going to work and the engine caught on fire. I pulled over, got the fire department there, and by then the fire was out. So I went ahead and took it day by day after that. Tried not to drive too far with that escort. Now, it's funny, what I was thinking about when I went blank was my first car was a Maverick, and it was a good one. It was 1995, 1,009, let's see, almost $2,000. 1995. If you're my age, you saw the signs everywhere on billboards. I finally got one. But then that was way before this. Like I said, there were some Thunderbirds in between that and when I had my Thunderbird taken away, my last Thunderbird. So I'm saving money, and then it seems like I must have I know what I did. I decided to go back into the stock market. I had been in the stock market earlier. I decided to go into the stock market, and a friend of mine said, "Get Empire Oil. It's only $1." And I think, but I'm not sure how much I bought, but the the day after I bought it, I tried to cancel it. I thought, what have I bought? I didn't even check to see what this oil company did. It was called a penny stock from Denver, Colorado. That's who promoted it, and the brokerage that did it. He said you can't cancel it. Then, after a few sleepless nights, I checked the price of it, and it had gone up so substantially that I went downtown to Hillard and Lyons, never been there before, set up an account, and sold it. This is a side line here. I'm going to tell you that was the same year that Humana Insurance Company went public as a corporation, and Chi-Chi's. Chi-Chi's ended up going bankrupt because of bad onions killing a few people. But Humana is still probably one of the top three companies in the nation with health insurance coverage. Well, they tried to talk me into taking the proceeds and buying a little bit of both, but I didn't. I didn't think any Louisville company was going to make it anyhow. So you never know. We're moving on with this. This whole focus that I'm doing right now is for you to retire early, and I finally got through college. I borrowed money on. I had so many MasterCard and Visas and American Expresses that not only did I start getting turned down, but when I went to my mailbox, there would be attorney letters in there offering to do bankruptcy for me. It got that bad. That's very important because I was in a bad situation. I had gotten out of college, started a counseling center to help drug addicts and alcoholics in particular, and spent so much money in the building and having two people help me, support staff, that I had no money left. And all of a sudden, some funding that had been guaranteed to me had stopped. I got a registered letter saying, either registered or certified, saying that as of June the 30th, the fiscal year will be over, and we're not contracting with you anymore. My income that I had built up to where I could hire people, to where I could have a nice big sign outside, to where I could save a lot of money, went down to zero. I'll tell you when it was, so you'll know how close all this was happening. This happened during the Great Recession that happened in approximately, so here's where my mind starts slipping here. It was it 1998 and 9? So it was over 10 years ago. It was when there was a total crash. People was taking their money out of the stock market. They called it the Great Recession. So all you gotta do is put that in the computer. You know what year I did this at. And I had owed so much money that I cashed. I didn't know this was going to happen. At the very height of the stock market, I sold out everything I had to pay off $110,000 in credit bills that I kept my business going by. Business name was James Wortham Counseling Services. James Wortham Counseling Services, Madison, Indiana. You put that in there and Google, and you'll see I'm not faking you or kidding you. It doesn't say anything about the negative. It doesn't talk about my mailbox being full of attorneys' letters saying that we'll file bankruptcy for you. Instead, I paid off every single penny with all the savings I had saved once again from my new business. Okay. Now I noticed the stock market had dropped down to where a lot of stocks were less than $1. Even Ford, I think, was 95 cents then. And I went ahead and I said, okay, I'm going to do like John Templeton, the owner of Templeton Funds, did. He bought everything that was $1 or less when he got out of college. And he started several mutual funds. Passed away by now. But he sold his company to Franklin Mutual Funds. So if you're keeping a record of what I'm saying. So I said, if he did it that way, that's my only chance. And any stock that I recognized didn't have to be on the New York Stock Exchange. It could be on the American Stock Exchange, or it could be on the NASDAQ or over the counter. If it was less than $1 and I recognized it, I bought as much as I could. And that sometimes wasn't very much. I was buying stocks for as low as 33 cents and as high as 95 or $1, or sometimes in the case of HOG, H-O-G, that's the symbol for Harley Davidson. I think I might have bought it at $3 back then. It never made it to the dollar mark. But I knew it was a good company. Okay. I'm a very nervous person. Every day I was scared to death that I was going to lose all the new money that I was putting in the stock market. Sometimes I'd buy and sell the same stock 2 or 3 times in the same day because it would have doubled from 33 to 66, and I'd say, I've already doubled my money. I better sell it before it falls down and goes bankrupt. Bad mistake. I did hang on to enough of them long enough to be able to pay all debts off, including my house. Because when that Great Recession was over, 1998 and started pulling out at 1998 and 1999, if I remember right. I think I think I'm getting it right. When it took off big. And if you weren't a millionaire before, you could become a millionaire then if you did it right. If I did it right, with what I know now, I, I'd have no desire to have any more money. In fact, it got to the point where, it's been a lot of years since then, and I always think when the stock market goes down, maybe it'll go down that far again, and I can buy stocks at $1 and become a multimillionaire. And I tell people, I hope it crashes again, because that'll give me a chance to buy it up. Now you gotta understand, I didn't have a surplus of money. You're asking me how did you buy that? It was borrowed money. And that wasn't hard. That was hard to get after he went through the financial crisis I went through. But if you have a brokerage account, they got what's called a margin account. That means you can borrow an equal amount at that time, equal amount of money that you had in stocks. So if I had $1,000 in stocks, I could they would loan me the money or the credit to go and buy $1,000 more. Then as I sold that, this wasn't any pyramid scheme. This is how the margin works. As the stocks went up, and I could borrow more on margin, and it would keep going up and up and up, and I would keep buying more and more stocks. I can't tell you my best stock. I will now. I'll tell you what I'm in now. I'm in Google. I'm in Apple computers. Those are the two main ones. I only mention those two because they've done so well for me lately. My philosophy is you only need 7 stocks and or mutual funds, and that's it. There were times when I probably had 40. And someone once told me, Jim, you only need 7. You just have to watch them every day. Watch the news every day. Watch how they're moving up and down every day. Well, they were telling the truth. So what have I spent this time telling you? Save your pocket change. Save every bit of money that you possibly can. Stop buying expensive cars. Buy used cars. And save the other to put in the stock market. And then, if there's some dips, and there's always dips, there's been dips this year, buy more. I'm planning to buy more Apple computer. It's fallen down. Let me tell you why it fell down. They got sued. They got sued because can you believe this? Because they were charging one reason. They were charging 35% commission for the apps, for the use of the apps. Do you know, as a book publisher, and I've been a book publisher, Actually, I still am a book publisher, but on a very small scale. Um, we gave 40, 50, or 60% to the distributors and bookstores. Card shops got 50. Um, Distributors got 60, up to 65 to 70. Bookstores got an automatic 40 even on one book. Now, I'm telling you this because with Apple being taken to court by the Department of Justice because they want a $35 cut for the apps, how would the companies sell their books with it? I mean, not their books, but their products or apps. How would they sell the apps without Apple? They could go somewhere else, but who else has that coverage? Frustration there on my part there because I watched my Apple go down $6 in one day, and I said, "Man, if I if I had more money, I would buy every penny I could of Apple." And it started going up just like I knew it would. The next day, it starts going up because you can't take a company that's larger in cash value than 11 other countries in the world and think it's going to go bankrupt or think it doesn't have the attorneys and the wisdom to take care of the problem. Check that out if you find it hard to believe. Hope you've enjoyed this video. What my purpose has been: save your pocket change, don't buy expensive stuff. Instead, put it in the bank. When you get $500, call up one of the brokerage firms, and I'll name the two I'm in. I'm in Fidelity Investments. You can do all this by the internet. I'm in Vanguard. I prefer Fidelity because I find it easier to maneuver, but my wife likes to put her money in Vanguard. Now, having said that, Ameritrade and Charles Schwab and several of the others all these do not charge a commission to buy or sell. When I was going through my episode of trying to regain my life, I was with Ameritrade, and at that time I was paying about $7 each time I bought and each time I sold. So if I bought and sold the same stock the same day 2 or 3 times, I paid 2 or 3 times that amount. Have I helped you? Has any of this made sense? Feel free to leave messages. If you want to subscribe, God bless you. If you want to like it, I'd like that too. You got to remember one thing. I do this for pleasure and fun, but more than anything, because I see it as a writer. I've written several books. If you go to Amazon and put my name in, you'll see several books. It's paper only. You don't know what's in my mind. You don't see my face. You don't see this silly hat. You don't hear the hesitation in my voice. You don't hear the fear or the happiness in my voice. If you go to Amazon and look and see my books, you don't know what in the world's in them. Maybe they're not worth you reading it. Maybe it's no interest to you. Then I thought I'd get a guitar and I'd go into singing. And, well, since we've got a couple, since music's so big, I thought, well, maybe I ought to go into that even though I'm not a teenager anymore. We'll see how that works out in the future. I got two guitars. I got a new one today. I got two guitars, one electric and one autistic. Autistic. Oh gosh, one not electric. I'm autistic. I'll be back on 3 to 5 times a week. I wasn't going to be on tonight. I took one off tonight that I did yesterday because I was afraid it may offend somebody because I didn't get all likes. There were apparently one or two people, because it tells you if you're 100% all likes, and I offended somebody. I may have offended 2 or 3 people, and they hit negative. Took the sucker off right before I got on here. That's just the way I am. I don't like rejection. Thanks again for visiting.